Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the 3rd and 20 Dynasty Podcast. I'm JT, Season 3, Episode 2. I'm back. I'm joined with Jake, Frank, Lounis. What's up, everyone? We had our first preseason game. Kind of a bummer because slight news, I guess, maybe out of it, but it's just a Hall of Fame game with no one really in it. But we're finally getting into our first.
That game?
I watched it.
I'm not watching any preseason games. Maybe the Steelers ones, that's it.
I watched the first quarter or so.
I didn't watch a minute of it. I'm going to see some of the ones coming up where it's like all the teams playing and then maybe there are some games with like starters in for a series or two, but that game now.
The thing is with preseason that I have a big qualm with, a big old qualm, is that it is literally more bait than good. I'm telling you, year after year after year, you have these dudes that tear up preseason games that either I've bought into personally, where I'm like, damn, dude, that guy's playing well. Or like, Twitter's like, oh shit, you see this guy? He's going nuts. 2 tutties against the Bears the other day? And it's like, they all, 99.9% of the time, they're trash. Okay, maybe there's one good one. But guess what? Like, unless I already have my roster or I can pick them up for free, I'm just not going to trade for him ever again. I'm done. I am done with the bait. I honestly think that NFL teams are like trying to play bad players, A, just because obviously they want to see who makes the roster, but B, I think they're trying to send curveballs. Like, all of a sudden team thinks week 1, oh yeah, a guy like Terrace Marshall, he was playing well in the preseason games. Yeah, you want to know why? They were just giving him targets. Just like, man, this guy sucks. Like, let's just hype him up in the preseason so he can get a good scouting report for week 1.
This is so mean.
Terrace Marshall looked better than Jamar Chase last preseason.
He still might be. You never know.
Never again.
I will say, if there's one rookie that if there's a rookie that any of you like and you start to see people online shit on him because he played bad in the preseason, I'll send offers for players like that. I'm not buying into anyone playing well in the preseason, but if I see people overreacting, Jamar Chase's price fell from the preseason a little bit last year. I saw sometimes a couple owners were feeling weird, more trades were being done with him. So I don't know. That's what I would probably do.
Yeah, I mean, Jamar he had the whole thing with it's harder to see the football or something. Then there was also this weird, his ex-girlfriend was posting stuff on Instagram that, I don't know, weird allegations. So it caused people to kind of panic on him. But, I mean, we saw how that worked. To me, I agree, Frank, as much as Terrace Marshall, I thought he was so good last year. I thought he was going to be a beast, and I got a steal. I remember Mike Boone being sick a couple of years ago, too. Just running all over teams on the Vikings. I don't know. Preseason to me also probably more likely bait than not bait. But to just kick it off with something that happened, how much stock do we put into the Raiders actually making Josh Jacobs play on Thursday? Because that was
I thought it was really strange. To me, it kind of felt like they were just being he's healthy. Everyone, look, he's healthy. He's playing. And I'm just why is your starting running back in the Hall of Fame game midway through the second quarter? It just didn't make any sense. And I kind of feel like they're trying to get ready, show him off to trade him. And then all those rumors came out right after the game about the Eagles being interested, among other teams. I don't know. It's a weird situation with Josh Jacobs. I also think Zamir White played pretty well in the game. I thought he showed some pass catching ability, which is something we really didn't get to see from him in college, which was, a bright spot to me. Nothing that I'm going to go crazy over, but I do think that was one of the weaknesses I had on Zamir White. Paired with the Josh Jacobs news, it's a little interesting controversy over here in Vegas.
You also did get the we're not trading him, which honestly to me makes it seem like they're going to trade him.
Yeah,
the classic. I'm not trading him just to trade him a week later. Classic. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I mean, listen. At the end of the day, these rumors they're not made up, right?
He literally. Josh Jacobs posted on his Instagram stories it's been real, Raider Nation.
like with like the peace out emoji. Like, I mean, he's addressing it.
They turned down the 5th-year option of Josh Jacobs. Like, I could definitely see, especially if the Raiders don't think that Jacobs will have a great market come free agency. The reason for the Raiders side is that they could get the comp pick out of it, right? If he's going to have a great market in free agency, then okay, we'll let him walk. The Patriots did that for years and years and years, and they just raked in 3rd, 4th round comp pick selections, and just got free draft picks for having good players. If they don't think he's going to get a good offer at free agency, and you can get a 4th round for next year's draft, and they are confident in a guy like Zamir White and the slew of random running backs, maybe they bring in a guy like Devontae Booker off the streets, right? Like, and then they just say to Derek Carr, we're going to pass the ball a shit ton more. Like, I can see exactly why that whole scenario makes sense. I guess the other question now is like, I have Josh Jacobs in 1 league, maybe 2. Should I be panic selling? Would you, not necessarily panic selling, would you just be selling now because you see that the waters are getting a little murky, the wind's picking up a little bit?
I'd probably hold.
I don't think you'll get anything that'll make it worth it is the problem.
I was thinking that too, but I actually think you're wrong because while it's not the best deal in the world, I think you could trade Josh Jacobs for a pretty darn good receiver. Those receivers like, okay, if you really wanted to start scraping, a Kadarius Toney level guy or someone slightly higher than that. This is the first example that came to mind. Who are the guys on Keep Trade Cut around there that are not named George Pickens? Gallup's even lower than that. But I think you could, like, if you wanted to, you could easily move into one of those guys. But I even think you could get a little bit of a better offer as well if you shopped them around for one of those like Mixon paradox. They're not worth a 1st round pick, but the people only want a 1st round pick for them. I do think if you shop them to a lot of those types of receivers, you get Renfro would be another one where it's like he's not sexy. But, dude, I think he's going to be productive. And if you're scared about Josh Jacobs, it could 100% be worth it. I've been thinking about it.
The reason I say hold is because I feel like his price has already taken a dip. Like, even with just, like, these rumors and just generally over the past years taking a huge dip. Versus, like, there's a chance you hold and they don't trade him. Maybe, like, if they do, it's, like, in the deadline or something. That's going to be a high-scoring offense where he's just going to get every goal line opportunity. So, like, if he starts off the season, like, 3 or 4 weeks in and he's like RB10 or RB9 just because that Raiders offense is going to be really good, you could sell him at that point for I think like a decently higher price. It's a risk holding on to him, but it could pay off because that Raiders, I like that offense a lot.
I haven't seen like much improvement from Josh Jacobs over the years, and it's just like he is kind of just who he is. Like he's a middle of the pack guy, very dependent on volume, and if Zamir White is any good, that could actually be a big issue for him. So
I agree with that. I think that's the problem is that I think at least I did. I think you guys might have as well. It was a consensus take. I like Josh Jacobs more than David Montgomery that rookie draft. Mm-hmm. He was the first round pick. He was more talented. The passing game, he had more of a check. But the fact of the matter is that David Montgomery has essentially improved every year, at least to me on tape. And JT is absolutely right. I don't think Josh Jacobs is a better player than the day he came into the league. Fact of the matter. Yeah. In terms of at least like a production level running back, right? Okay, maybe he's a little bit better, but like tangible difference is minimal.
No, I think it's a fair comment.
And you can make the argument. You look at the stats. His rushing production has gone down. I'm pretty sure.
No, it has.
Yeah, his yards per carry has gone down.
Yeah, I can't have much about yards per carry, but his receiving work has gone up each year, which is like there's something to put your hat on. But yeah, I mean, currently on Keep Trade Cut, he's ranked higher than like a Juju Smith-Schuster, who I think I'd rather just swing for the upside there and maybe get the wide receiver 1 on the Chiefs. There are other players like Leonard Fournette where it's just like guaranteed production. Same thing with James Conner. He's ranked right around Zeke too. It's just like those guys all have, while they are older, they're just like, I just feel pretty strongly that they're going to have better season than Josh Jacobs. And then do I want a Josh Jacobs on a separate team on a second contract? Like how much is that Josh Jacobs worth? Like while you're giving up some years of production, you're getting that higher end production right now. And that's kind of, I think, what I'm more inclined to do.
15 points per game, Jacobs, 2,000-yard seasons. I think he's a lock RB2, but on the bottom end of that spectrum, his value's taken enough of a dip that he might be worth a buy for a contending team. Definitely avoid in a rebuild.
Oh, yeah. If I'm in a rebuild, I want no parts of Jacobs.
I actually feel like I'm more inclined to trade for him in a rebuild than as a contender. Kind of for what JT was saying is that I just think there's better buys if you have him as a flex at the flex position, if you want a running back at the running back position. Whereas I think he's an avoid in general for me. I've been a big Josh Jacobs fan for the past couple of seasons, but I feel like now is when I want out. And I don't know. Because I do agree, like it stinks selling him at the discount, but I'm more viewing it as I don't care about the discount because there's more plummet that's going to happen, right? Okay, sick. I bought him at 7 and I'm going to sell him at 5. But what happens when his price halves from 5? Then I'm going to be sitting there being, it's like Jalen Reagor right after his first season. It's like, damn, well, I don't want to sell him for a second. But if you sold him for a second, you're feeling pretty good about that trade right now, right? Like, damn, at least I turned him into a second.
Mm.
The concept is fair, but I mean, the thing with Josh Jacobs, even though like that is true where he hasn't improved, he still has had productive seasons. And it's not like the Raiders O-line is like that great.
No, yeah, but the thing is, like JT said, that the production's gone down every year. The Raiders didn't pick up his 5th-year option. They're clearly not, over the moon with him. We've seen it. The guys that are happy with their running backs actually have paid their running backs recently. We've seen it with Kamara, Zeke, Derrick Henry, all these guys, all these running backs getting paid. If they were really happy with Josh Jacobs, they would have gone out and said, okay, we'll give you what you want. And I don't think he would have been on the level of a Mixon extension or a Derrick Henry extension, but it would have been probably more than he's going to get in free agency. So I just don't like where this is headed for Josh Jacobs, honestly.
I mean, I just think because, like, I think I have one share of Jacobs left. I think I'm going to do this in my league that I have him. Man, you just, like, you look back at a couple of the previous years running back leaderboards, right? You can go 2020, 2019, 2018, 2017, and you see the huge volatility in a lot of the running backs, right? Okay, yeah, some of those younger running backs from like those really good 2016, 2017 draft class, a lot of those guys are still on there. Don't get me wrong, it's not completely overturned. But to me, Josh Jacobs, I actually think is going to be one of these types of running backs that we see. It's just like, man, you remember him? Almost like a DeMarco Murray. It was like, he was productive, he was great, until he wasn't. Like...
His fall off was crazy, but how old is Josh Jacobs?
He's young, he's 24.
Or Josh Jacobs.
Antonio Gibson, pretty easily for me.
Can I say neither? Like, I don't like either of these guys, and I would stay away from
Gibson's
both.
more talented.
No, he's not. Jacobs went in the first round. Jacobs has all the talent in the world.
Okay, I'm just saying at this point with both of them.
As an owner,
I think
what would
Gibson's...
you accept for him? A second? At that point, he's not worth the sell. No, I'm going to trade him for a player.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like I'm going to trade him for a receiver. I like, just because if I really got desperate, I do think I could get one of the following receivers: Christian Kirk, Michael Thomas, Hunter Renfrow, Brandon Cooks, Amari Cooper, Dotson, Tony. Like I'd shoot for a little better at first. I don't think it'll work out. Maybe I'll shoot for like Jacobs and some to get like a Darnell Mooney. Maybe like a Cortland Sutton. I don't think that'll happen, but I do think, dude, I think that so like the one of those dudes, like you're telling me the guy with Christian Kirk potentially isn't given to me for Josh Jacobs straight up. That feels like one of the trades that I'm getting done a lot more than I'm not.
To answer Skoll, I think I'd take Gibson just because it's Josh Jacobs feels like the floor play, and I'd rather just swing for the upside in Gibson, where like if he somehow is a 3-down back, like Antonio Gibson has like top 6 running back in his potential, where Josh Jacobs is kind of like we've just seen what he is, like he's that milling, he's gonna get you like who in chat said it, Joel, sorry if I butchered that, he's gonna get 15 points per game. Like it's just like that's exactly what you expect, is that 15 points per game. Oh no, that was Skoll who said that. Then moving on to, okay, so now I'd rather have someone like Antonio Gibson than Josh Jacobs. Well, what would I trade Josh Jacobs for? I liked a lot of the players that Frank was saying. But yeah, personally, if I'm a contender, I'm pivoting towards one of those older running backs and just saying, like, just give me the extra points. And then if I'm a rebuilder, I like Christian Kirk. That was a good name. I think you still could get Juju. Rondale Moore is an interesting one. I don't know if I want to go out and buy him.
So for that trade for a running back, JT, are you trading him straight up for like a Zeke, or are you going to try and get some draft pick value on top?
No, straight up. I mean, if you can get more, I don't know if you can. I'm going to assume whoever has Zeke is probably in a contending position. But the idea of getting that younger, you get whatever, I think Zeke's 27, 26. You get those couple extra years. It does look appealing, but I think it's all kind of, it's just shiny. Like Josh Jacobs, like Jake was saying, like he's going to go on a second contract, and what's he going to do? Like his best case scenario is, I think he ends up like a Melvin Gordon, where he gets like, he works himself into a nice timeshare kind of thing. But truthfully, I don't even know if that really works out for him. Like I think he's going to need an injury on another team for him to be like that kind of relevant running back. Like how often do you ever see running backs switch teams going into their second contract and actually being productive? Rarely. Like James Conner's the only one. James Conner, Leonard Fournette. Those are the two that I can point to.
I almost feel like it's never one of the times where it's like, oh, he's trending down, right? Like I feel like every single time a player is trending down or a running back, is trending down into a new team, it never works out. It's a different story if Tony Pollard is entering free agency. He's always been behind Zeke and at least has a chance to be an RB1, right? Then he's in a situation where he's trending up a little bit, right? Like,
fair enough.
What situation's better than the one he's had? There probably isn't one.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Exactly.
No, he was like a 20+ carry guy.
At that point, 1 second is looking like a fair price for Jacobs, which is what I am kind of foreseeing almost.
Speaking of 20+ carry guys, apparently the second coming is a rookie at Chiefs training camp.
Yeah, apparently Isaih Pacheco. I thought it was Pacheco for like months now. Has been the basic, not even just the talk of Chiefs camp. He's been the talk of Twitter and Dynasty Reddit and every Dynasty community, it seems like. And he's not even the number one running back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still taking the most of the RB1 snaps. He's been getting rotated in. I'll give him that. And he's had the classic, running back lining up in the slot. I guess we
saw the same story 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's literally Darwin Thompson part 2.
Is anyone taking the hype on Pacheco?
No. Am I surprised that Mahomes in 7-on-7 training camp is making a speedy running back who can catch look good? on like wheel routes. Like,
Yeah, it's
like I'm telling you, this is literally Darwin Thompson again. I was seeing all the hype, and it's like exactly what happened then. He was like a 3rd round rookie pick, and then he started to creep up to like early seconds by the time like preseason.
Lounis is like, fool me once, Darwin Thompson.
I didn't draft Darwin Thompson, especially not in the second. But no, like I don't know. I view this as the same thing. I'm not buying into any of the hype.
He's risen like crazy since the draft. He's basically
what's he at now in keep trade cut?
He's at 1,600,
which
puts him
1,600.
He'd be a 3rd on keep.
Yeah, he's a little bit better than in 2022 mid-3rd. He's
But
in between.
He's going to keep rising though. It's almost like a Romeo Dobbs scenario where
if he has a good preseason
any
game,
of the rising rookies, their price is a little bit lower on keep trade cut than what it actually is because the market hasn't fully adjusted to the hype.
Yeah. I actually kind of want him to like just go off in the first preseason game just to like kind of see what happens. Congrats to whoever drafted him if that does happen. You'll be able to sell him for like a 2023 second by the end of the preseason.
The funny part is like I'm not convinced he's better than Jerrion Ealy.
I'm not either.
Not even that.
Realistically, I think Jerick McKinnon's the 2nd running back in this offense.
I think McKinnon's more talented and he's nowhere near CEH.
I'm going to be the optimist in this scenario. As someone that owns none of Pacheco and is not looking to trade for him, I'm not buying into the hype. I'm not all of a sudden like, fuck yeah, I'm trading all my picks for him. Like, but at the same, I think you guys are being a little harsh. Now, for me to buy into it, I need to either right before the season starts, he is legitimately taking a lot of RB1 snaps. And it's like kind of like James Robinson. Right before he started playing for the Jaguars, it was like, holy crap, this guy is the number 1 running back. Like, he's practicing as the number 1, right? Like, it wasn't necessarily, like, obviously it was a surprise that he played really well, but it wasn't really like a huge surprise that he got a lot of volume at that point. If that happens, then I'll buy into it. I mean, obviously I'll buy into it, but I need to see it to believe it with a guy like Pacheco.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I guess the hype is, to me,
this happens every summer.
Yeah, it does happen every summer. And that's the problem with the Chiefs is that because Patrick Mahomes is there and Andy Reid is there, and we've seen the fantasy success of these players around Mahomes and Andy Reid before, it's like the hype meter is so much more sensitive for anyone on that team.
Oh yeah. And like I said, I don't know. For me, it's if someone wants to fall for it. In rookie drafts, what's the earliest you take him? For me, maybe the end of the 3rd round. If you want to throw something there, I'd prefer the 4th. But if someone wants to spend a late 3rd, they can.
Definitely. So I guess if you had him, are you selling him right now?
Not right now, no. I'm waiting for a good preseason game. He'll have one good game. That'll be enough.
So what's the deal you're looking for? Are you just going to mass offer him for a 2nd?
Yeah.
An idea that I liked to kind of, I don't know, if you're able to somehow do it, combine him with a 3rd for a 2nd, if none of just mass offering seconds works, or try for like years out doing that. I'd be willing to attach him to a 3rd to be able to move up in the 2nd. So those are like the trades I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm not even convinced this guy makes the team. So, yeah.
I mean, how many running backs are they going to bring on? Like,
yeah, I think CEH is a lock.
I think
after that, it's kind of question marks. Yeah, I mean, Ronald Jones, I think, is whatever at this point. He's just had so many opportunities.
If CEH gets injured, Ronald Jones is their best like runner.
Yeah, that's the issue though. Like if CEH gets injured, like I don't think any of these guys are going to actually be worth. Like they're not going to give you.
No, it's going to be split between Jones and McKinnon.
So what's the point? So I mean, I guess if you want to gamble, like I'm cool again a 2nd, like trying to get a 2nd, but like even if I could get a 3rd, or if I could get like an established, if I'm a contender, like Julio Jones is someone that I look at and be like, I probably could get close to trading Pacheco for Julio, kind of thing.
That's an interesting one.
I like Laviska Shenault a lot still. Like there are players that I like still. that you could just pivot off him right now for.
I think I don't know. I would just mass offer him for every second round pick in my dynasty league, and
Yeah.
I've seen it happen so many. I've
Let
seen
me
less
see.
hyped players get traded for seconds, right? Like, that's the first step I would do if I looked to sold him.
If you guys want to pivot into the next topic, I'll try and pull up the recent trades.
Yeah, I'll
with
pivot
him.
in here.
Alright.
Diontae Johnson, 2-year extension. The overall like per year average for Diontae Johnson was pretty high, but it's only a 2-year deal. I think at first the reaction was that, oh my God, the Steelers got an absolute steal on that contract. But then you looked at the numbers and it's like, okay, Diontae got paid and he'll be up for a new deal again soon to potentially get paid again. I think personally it was a win-win for both sides. Does this impact his dynasty value at all?
No, I mean, I think we kind of, regardless of if Diontae Johnson stayed in Pittsburgh or not, he was still going to be valuable. We've seen him in the past 2 years really come into his own and establish himself as a, number one guy on a team that had a pretty good offense in Pittsburgh. And I don't know what the offense is going to look like this year with the Pickett or Maserati Mitch led offense, but he's shown out and proven that he can handle himself as a one. And I think even if he were to leave, but prior to signing this extension, that he would have done it elsewhere and he would have been paid like it too. So I think he's happy he gets to stay in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's happy to have him for 2 years. Other than that, I think it really affects Chase Claypool is the guy I think it kind of leaves as the odd man out here.
I feel like we kind of figured though he was going to be the odd man out. Diontae and Pickens are just
they're just more talented in my opinion. But
yeah,
what about the Booth?
No,
just like more long-term target competition for a guy like him.
No, it's not changing my opinion on the Muth. I think he's just a guy that's a quality young tight end that's going to be around for a while. I don't know if he ever reaches that tier of the elite tight ends, but I always think he will be a top 10 guy for the foreseeable future, which is just something that consistency does count for something here, especially when it's tight ends and most of them are just garbage. I think you can really bring whatever enough to be a starting tight end in your fantasy team every week. But I don't think this extension has anything to do with him, really.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with most of what Jake said. I love Diontae. I still love Diontae. And yeah, Frank, because I saw that too with seeing the Steelers got robbery. I think the per year for him is a good number, but people are not realizing it's only a 2-year deal. If it was a 4-year deal at that amount per year, then it'd be like what people are saying, a robbery for Pittsburgh. But at that, I mean, it'll be interesting. So I kind of wonder if it was Diontae who purposely set it up that way.
I actually think this contract raises my value of Diontae a little bit more. Surprisingly, I didn't think it would.
I think I actually agree with you
a little bit more. I think the thing is that if you look at Diontae and what his role in this offense is going to be, I think once again he's going to be a little bit of a target hog. I just think that he's going to be a dude that is going to be hovering around or above 150 targets. That the short passing game that we've seen from Pittsburgh last year that I think will continue with a lot more RPOs this year, I think will benefit him. As we saw last year, it did. That's kind of his bread and butter, right? You get the ball in his hands, short yardage, and the dude can make people miss. And then we saw that element of his game develop last year where he started to become that vertical threat. The Steelers showed and their management showed that they do value Diontae as one of the more top receivers in the league. So to me, the trust they showed in him, the fact that they gave him that contract, I think everything is aligning again for him to have a lot of targets, and that's exactly what I wanted for if I'm a Diontae guy, like Skull Dynasty is Diontae and all 3 of his dynasty teams. So yeah, I think that I felt like a little bit before I was souring on him. Now I'm back. I think Diontae is firmly a top 15 dynasty receiver for me.
I'd agree. I'm insanely high on him also.
he's someone that I want to like more. It's kind of hard for me to like more, but if he's right fringe 15, I don't hate it. I think it's fine.
Yeah, he'd be around 15. Unless anyone else has anything else to say on Diontae Johnson. This was the breaking news of the offseason.
Yeah. I don't even know if we want to talk about it.
The thing is, at the end of the day, so he's right next to Terry McLaurin, and I just feel like Diontae
Adam
is...
Shaheen.
I just feel like Diontae is like a higher floor Terry McLaurin. Maybe Terry McLaurin has a little bit of a higher ceiling. I don't even know if that's true or not, but I just really like... I like both of those players, to be honest, at their cost. Yeah, Adam Shaheen got traded to the Texans right before the pod for a 6th for 7th swap. Does that have any impact at all?
No.
Jakeem Grant, injured on the Browns, out for the year. Apparently he was having a good camp. Really good return man, was potentially going to see some time in the offense. Does that impact anything other than we feel sorry for Jakeem Grant?
No.
Yeah, again, no.
Here's some interesting stuff. Dameon Pierce. I thought this was going to happen earlier in the offseason. We finally saw the Dameon Pierce hype begin. That he's looking like the RB1. The Texans beat reporters are saying he looks like the best guy in camp. We saw even Rex Burkhead hype him up a little bit, saying that he's doing a lot of the right things, asking the right questions, quote unquote. What's the opinions on Dameon Pierce in this situation in Houston?
I mean, I've always liked him, and I think if he is like the lead starter heading into the year, he's gonna have a pretty solid rookie campaign. But maybe not right now, because I think he's gonna be the start of the season. I think you're gonna get a later price further on, but he's kind of one of those guys where, even though I do like him a lot, former Gator, but it's kind of giving me like Michael Carter feeling in terms of it, where I don't think he's going to be their long-term back, and I think he'll be a starter this year just because he's the best back there. But people are going to look at that and say like, oh, here's this rookie running back. He just had like, I don't know, 800, 900 rushing yards. And I think that's the time to flip him before next summer's and spring's free agency and draft. So I'd hold him for now and let the season play out.
I just want to circle back to Isaih Pacheco. I think that's how you say it. Because I pulled up trades that involved him, 12 team leagues. And since August 1st, we have him for a third. I'll try and get the mostly 1-for-1 trades off here. Him for Khalil Herbert, him for Brian Robinson, him and Albert O for Daniel Jones, him for Tutu Atwell, a third in 2023 and a 2025 second, which is interesting. Him and a
second and a third for
him and a 2023 first for Saquon. Him and a 2023 first for Baker. Even I don't know if I like Baker, but
wait, what?
For Baker.
Is that a 4 QB league?
Yeah, I know.
A 23
it's a super flex. These are all, I believe these are all super flex.
Is that super flex?
Nope. Him for a 2023 second, him for Christian Kirk, Isaih Pacheco for Greg Dulcich, Isaih Pacheco and a fourth for Cole Kmet, Isaih Pacheco for a 2023 third. So I'm seeing a lot of 2023 thirds, some 2023 seconds. And then some good players that I think I just like more than him pretty easily, like a Christian Kirk.
Brian Robinson.
Yeah. Him and Calvin Austin for Romeo Dobbs. I think I'd rather just have Dobbs.
Same.
It's interesting trades, but for the most part, I found myself going on whatever side he wasn't.
Yeah.
So I would rather trade him.
No, I'm with you.
I'm more confident in my ability to get a random ass second.
I think, seeing what he's been traded for, it does seem like he's that fringe. He's already on that fringe kind of second. Like him and Hassan Haskins for Jared Goff in a 2 QB league. Sorry, like super flex. I'd rather just.
I think that's a fantastic trade. Yeah, for whoever's getting Goff.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Just wanted to get back.
That's really interesting. But yeah, I guess back to Dameon Pierce. I don't know. I liked Dameon Pierce pre-draft. I mean, I wasn't like the highest on him. I'm not even sure I have him in my leagues. Maybe I have him in one. But it's just like in college, he was in the cocoon, right? He's in the cocoon. He has a little bit of production here and there, but was never really to establish himself as an RB1, right, and get that real level of production. Maybe it was the Florida scheme, how to running quarterback. It was a lot of the season.
A lot of Florida fans were annoyed he wasn't getting more touches because he was clearly like the best of that committee, but they're super insistent on having a committee.
But what's he gonna hatch into? Is he gonna be a butterfly or is he gonna be a moth? Right? What's gonna happen? You guys all think he's gonna become a Michael Carter, a moth, right? Next season he throws himself into a fire pit, and all of a sudden there's a new Chad in town.
He could be rookie Josh Jacobs.
But at the same time, like we've seen that range where he was picked in, right? That like late third to early. He's gonna get a damn fair chance.
Oh no, I think the price. I don't have a problem with the price now as much as what I think his price will be like once we're like into the regular season and he's just been their RB1. Then I think you're going to be able to get like a really good price for possibly selling him. But I mean, if like obviously you just have to watch him play. If he looks that good, then obviously keep him. But the main point is if I have him, I'm holding him. Like I'm not selling now off this site.
Well, same thing with Pacheco. I'll just run you guys through a couple trades and you tell me what side you'd rather have. Dameon Pierce or 2023 second? It's a random
second.
I'd probably rather have Dameon Pierce more times than not.
This one's a little. I'm going to try and keep it to, for the most part, 1-for-1 trades. But here's one I'll do: DeAndre Swift or Dameon Pierce, a second and a fourth in 2023.
Swift.
Come on.
Dameon Pierce or James Robinson and a 2024 second.
James Robinson in the second.
Dameon
Easy.
Pierce. It would help a lot if I like knew the context of the team that the second was.
Because
if I think it's not a great team,
seconds.
Huh?
I'm gonna treat them all as random seconds. The dude that traded him for traded Swift for that second, he better be getting 201.
201, yeah.
He better be getting 201 in a 4-man league.
4-man.
I
might take the James Robinson side there.
I would take the James Robinson side. One more for you guys. I'll do two more. Dameon Pierce or Pat Freiermuth and Michael Gallup.
Freiermuth and Gallup.
What is that?
Damn, maybe we should be selling Dameon Pierce. Holy shit, man! I might be wrong.
This one I think is interesting. I'm going to. This might be unfair, but I'm going to assume this is a mid to late first. Dameon Pierce and this mid to late first for Austin Eckler. It's 2023 mid to late first plus Dameon Pierce.
I'm taking Pierce in the first.
It really depends. Like I assume the team that's trading for Eckler, the team that's getting Eckler has to be a contender, and they're going all in on this season. That's the only explanation.
No, it obviously.
Yeah, but here's the thing too, though, is that I honestly think if I'm a contending team, right, I'll trade Eckler for the first and Dameon Pierce, and then I'll take Dameon Pierce in a second and trade him for Aaron Jones. Or I'll take Dameon Pierce and flip him for Zeke straight up, right? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm selling Dameon Pierce. Fuck. Like some of those trades, I'm telling you,
even if it's high now, if you wait, it's going to be higher in the regular season.
There are some other 1-for-1s if you guys just want to hear them. that might make you pause again. Dameon Pierce for Jahan Dotson.
What's taking Dotson?
Yeah.
Pierce for Ramondre Stevenson. And
I'll take Pierce.
I'll take Pierce
for Laviska Shenault.
And I'll take Pierce.
Okay, that's fine.
Easy Pierce.
Are some other I see a couple 2023 first getting traded for Dameon Pierce though, and at that price I'm easily.
Oh yeah. No, if you can get a first round pick for him, you take that.
I think you've convinced me. I'm trading Dameon Pierce now. Trade him.
All right.
Yeah.
At least I'll shop him. At least shop him.
Yeah. All right. Next up on our list, news: Javonte and Melvin Gordon split going to be closer than expected. Some reporters.
I think I said this last week. Did I not say this last week?
I wasn't here last week, but I don't know what you guys.
No. It wasn't like any news about it, but I think we somehow ended up talking about the Broncos.
We said that it'd be closer, but I think this was actually reported. Yeah.
Like the Broncos were clearly happy with the way the offense ran last year, with both of these backs being very good for them, and I don't think they want to change that. I think they kind of want to save Javonte's longevity here and take some of the load off him on Melvin Gordon, who's been very good for them. And I understand it. Like you get the production from your running back position, whoever it is, and you get to keep your good young running back healthy. And like now you add Russell Wilson in the mix, and it's going to open up some more rushing lanes for these guys. And I think both of them are going to have a good year. I think Melvin Gordon is a very good, buy low. I think Frank did it a bunch last year, trying to buy Melvin Gordon around the trade deadline of your fantasy league. I think he did it a few times. But I think what this really shows to me is Javonte Williams, at least for this next season, is probably being overhyped. If we're being honest, I know he's going.
Are you saying
he's
specifically
like running
for next
back
season, or are you saying as a dynasty running back he's overrated right now?
I mean, both. Honestly, I love Javonte Williams. I've never doubted his talent or his even production when he gets the opportunity. It's just that if the Broncos are going to go out there and use Melvin Gordon, which makes sense to them as a team, keep both backs healthy, that makes sense. But for fantasy, it just sucks because you want to see Javonte just go out there and get 80% of the carries. You want to see that. You want him to get all these, goal line touches, red zone touches. You want that, and you don't want them being poached by Melvin Gordon, which is going to inevitably happen, just like it did last year.
It did, but we 1 second, I'll just say something quick. We've seen extremely successful running backs be in kind of a 60-40 split.
It happens very rarely that both backs are
yeah, but I don't
24.
think Melvin Gordon's going to be top 24. I think Javonte can have a good season with him getting 60 to 65%. I think it'll be somewhere there. Again, we saw one of his comps, Nick Chubb, do it with Kareem Hunt. We saw Kamara have production splitting backfield. I think there was maybe disappointment.
That team ran the ball so much more than this Broncos team is going to run the ball.
That's fair, but this Broncos team is going to have a ton of scoring opportunities.
So did the Browns the Browns were very good that year, that they both made the top 10 or whatever, they were both top 20 backs.
I do agree with you, Jake, that it's how often do you really see a committee where you have two very productive running backs if there's a true split? But I'm willing to bet both are going to be productive, but just not fantasy productive or fantasy inconsistent. The thing is, I agree with Lounis, though, because if I'm going to bet on an outlier, how many running back rooms do you see as talented as this one?
Not many. And those ones were successful. Lounis pointed out the Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt backfield that we've seen be very successful. Obviously, there was that Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram backfield that was very successful with the Saints a few years ago. So I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but it just doesn't happen a lot. And the fact that it happened last year, I just see a repeat happening of what happened last year.
There was that UNC backfield, though, with Michael Carter and Javonte Williams that was pretty successful. So he's done it before.
And ironically,
that's a college team playing in the ACC. What are we talking about?
My issue, though, is that
basically not a Power 5.
Yeah, but you have a guy who's so I think essentially 2 years younger than Michael Carter, who was producing at similar levels.
I think for me the only way you can be disappointed is if your expectation was that he's Jonathan Taylor.
No, but he's not priced around Jonathan Taylor. He's not priced around Jonathan Taylor.
He's not, but that's what I'm saying. There are Javonte people who hope that he's the next Taylor, but I just view him. I think for me right now, I think he's a top 3 dynasty back. I could if you want to debate, he's top 5. He was not number 1 for me, but I don't know. I still think he'll be very productive, and he's super young too.
If I could pivot off him into Breece Hall, where I think Breece Hall just has that special running back upside, where Javonte I think is just very good running back, I think I'd do it.
What would you add with Javonte?
Well, currently Javonte is ranked higher than Brees Hall.
Yeah,
so I
you wouldn't. It would be the other
Yeah.
way, if anything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if
anything,
Javonte's high, is it what? Is it 3 to 5?
something like that.
Yeah, it's,
I don't know how much you. I mean, I guess because like I know people
I'm
who
just doing
preferences
straight
who
up.
like Brees Hall more. That's what I'm saying. I think it'd be closer to a straight up trade where it's just one person prefers
Yeah.
one back over the other.
I think the big question mark with Javonte this year is how much passing game work is he going to get? He had about 300 yards last year. I think just shy like 50 targets. If he's able to increase on that, because I think it's almost guaranteed that he's going to see an increase on his like 200, just over 200 rushing attempts. If we see him get more work in the passing game, then all of a sudden I think he can finish as a low end RB1. He still is going to have a great long term outlook. Melvin Gordon is probably going to be his last season there when he re-signed to a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think that this is a team, like when we're looking at it from a football sense, not a fantasy sense, this is a team that is looking to win a Super Bowl. You want to have depth at the running back position, and you don't want to put all of your weight into a second-year guy. So if he is productive in the passing game, then he can easily be an RB1. And he doesn't need to be crazy productive. He just needs to improve on what he did last year. Get me over 50 targets. Get me over 350 yards, and be the third down guy, the passing down back in the red zone. Boom. That's fine.
I do want to say real quick, between Brees Hall and Jonathan Taylor, between Brees Hall and Javonte Williams, it's slightly less than 300 on Keep Track Cut. So
It's they said about a third makes it even.
Yeah.
all right. You guys want to move on?
So at that point, it's just preference.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Next up, J.K. Dobbins on track to play Week 1. I know
Yes.
that was somewhat in question with, I think it was Rappaport who originally said that he might start the season on PUP. He's been taken off. I think he's cleared to practice now, so he should be able to play Week 1. We've talked about Dobbins a decent amount, guys. I guess really it's just like we have Jake, who's the sell-all Ravens guy. Where we think Dobbins finishes this year? Let's just put a projection on him.
Where he finished? Where he finishes is hard. I was about to say I think he's underrated right now at RB14 in the Dynasty rankings. I see a few backs ahead of him that I'd take Dobbins over, including ETN kind of being RB10 with Dobbins RB14. I think is a little bit crazy to me, considering like this backfield had kind of marking him. He was a lot better. Gus Edwards is decent, but he's still not fully healthy. I don't know when he's going to be back. I don't remember some of the other running backs on this team off the top of my head, but neither of them are on Gus Edwards.
Mike Davis.
Corey Clement, who's more like a receiving back. Mike Davis, okay. Dobbins is kind of by far the most talented. I don't know. I think running backs have normally been it's been split, but if you look at their total attempts and yards, they've been extremely efficient in the Ravens offense playing with Lamar. And I think this is a backfield where you're going to see Dobbins get, I don't know, maybe 65% of the work in a run-heavy offense where he might be used in the receiving game a bit. I'm insanely high on him. I wouldn't be surprised if he finished an RB1 this year. That might be one of my predictions. I think he finishes top 15 lock, top 12 maybe in the 9 to 12 range.
I have him at running back 17 for the year.
Oof.
What about Dynasty ranking?
Dynasty ranking, having him around where he is, around
14
to 12 to 14, even down is fine. It's around there.
So you're saying J.K. Dobbins, running back 17 for the 2022 NFL season?
I mean, I'm kind of with Jay. I'm not far off of that, just because I think that they're going to ease him into the beginning of the season. I don't think that they're going to come out here and say, okay, J.K. Dobbins, you're getting a bajillion carries. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens roll out and rotate 3 or 4 running backs for the first couple weeks of the season, with Dobbins only getting his 12 to 15 touches.
My big counter argument to that, though, is he didn't see double-digit carries until after the bye week in Week 8 in his rookie year, and he finished as RB 17. So
Yeah, but he had a
kind of
ton
implying-
of touchdowns too, though, didn't he?
He did have a decent amount of touchdowns for what he did. He had nine touchdowns, which
Yeah, it's a
I
lot
was gonna
for-
say more.
in 15 games, that's I think average.
He can easily match that this year too.
Yeah, I think this is a Ravens offense that's going to be very good.
Yeah.
I
For me-
personally
for
have
me,
him
he's
closer
like-
to run back 12.
With what wide
He's a top
receivers?
he's a top 10 dynasty back for me.
For
I'd have to
Shotzi.
think of the rankings. He'd be in the lower end. It'd be probably somewhere like 8 to 10, but he's in my top 10.
I mean, dude, I wanted to have this as a separate segment, but I'm just gonna bring it up now. Oh shit, this is really messed up. Hold on a second. Because like
Hold on.
The O-line.
the most improved. Wait, what am I doing? The most improved offensive lines. This is what I'm doing. All right, I figured it out. Surprisingly, Baltimore was on here. Now we did have some shout out to David Zach on Twitter, David Zach 16 for this. I think he's the one that put the time and effort into this chart and you know figuring all the crap out. So shout out that dude. Follow him on Twitter. He's a good dude. But he culminated the average offensive line projections from last year, or I think just this year, and then compared it to what they were ranked at last year. We did have some disagreements on what the rankings were last year, where the hell that came from. I think it was PFF, but some of them was like, you know, you see Seattle was at 19.5, and it's like Seattle's offensive line was not great last year, at least.
Nor were they
that's what
expected
JT was
to be good.
You know, like you're saying that they were an average offensive line, right? Like that's a bit ridiculous. But Baltimore is one of the teams that is going to be, I mean, they're top 5 in projected biggest improvement in offensive line play, which is something that really, really helps out your running back production. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up with J.K. Dobbins. That's another thing they have going for him, because Lounis or Jake, someone said like, oh, well, what about the receivers? Well, it's like, I think this is way more important than what receivers you're rolling out with.
Oh yeah. I mean, his case
Especially,
definitely.
yeah.
And
I
just
don't care
playing
what-
with Lamar gives you an advantage as a running back. It freezes one defender on pretty much every run play.
I
And if
think
they're rolling
Bateman,
out 2 tight end sets all the time, like,
I think Hollywood and Bateman is a wash. So you're still in like essentially the same place for your receivers, and so
You had both last year. Now you just
not
Yeah, but
really.
Bateman barely played with Lamar.
Bateman, you missed the first like 6 weeks, then
He
you come
played.
back.
How
with
many
groin
games
injury.
did Lamar did he play? And I'm not even that. high on
Yeah,
Bateman,
then
but,
he
like,
came back and it was Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, he only played like what 3 games with Lamar Jackson last season.
Yeah, so
maybe.
wash. I just think this is a very good Ravens offense, or what I expect to be. I took Lamar to win MVP.
all right, let's just jump in the rest of this offensive line stuff. We were going to talk about Kareem Hunt potentially being traded. I mean, quick take on Kareem Hunt, and we got a quick take.
I mean, if he does get traded, it'd be amazing for his value. But right now, the Browns said we're
Yeah, but where?
keeping him. Which put as much
who's in the
stock
market
into that
for
as
running
you
back?
want.
Lunas, I used to be in this boat.
I just
with
said
you,
which put as
but
much
I-
stock into it as you want.
No,
Like-
but Lunas, I used to be in this boat with you of, you know, get Kareem Hunt out of here, get him out of the
Oh, you
Browns.
want him to stay in Cleveland?
I want him to stay.
Oh, you're crazy.
Put him in, keep him there. Give him his new contract. Keep him paired with Nick Chubb. They have no receivers. I don't care if they have Amari Schmoop. Amari Schmoop is a schmoop. Let's be honest. He's okay. But
Not great.
Deshaun Watson opens this offense up, and obviously Kareem Hunt's the better passing down back. We've seen him
Admit
be
he's a
successful.
backup.
I was
He's not.
no, but I was
He's
gonna say
not
I
a
was
backup.
gonna. I mean, we still have to wait to see what's gonna play out. But what if like he has 1 year left on his deal in Cleveland and he's with the Jacoby Brissett the entire season?
Yeah, but he's not. We just saw Watson only got 6 games. I know.
Yeah,
it's,
no,
NFL
the NFL's appealing.
I
We
feel
don't know
like
yet.
they had, because I feel like part of this is just about usage, because, you know, yeah, obviously he wants the contract, but
I think the contract's the biggest.
he
thing.
was holding out, and then all of a sudden they started giving him more reps in training camp, and now he's back. It's like, I feel like part of it is they may have had a conversation in the
About
background and be
busy.
like, "Yo, we're gonna give you more workload. Like, stay
I'm-
here, pretty
I
please."
don't think. I think the contract is the biggest thing, only because of this. He signed an extension in Cleveland, knowing like Chubb isn't going anywhere. Like, so I mean, maybe he liked it at first, and then now he doesn't as much. But he did.
Well, I think they gave him
sign
a
an
pretty
extension. He
decent
could have
size.
entered free agency.
They gave him a nice extension, and I think he kind of just, the situation worked out where he went to Cleveland and it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And even people didn't think it would. People were like, "Why is he going there? They already have Nick Chubb," and it worked. He made it where they were two running backs, both playing different roles in an offense, and really both being fantasy relevant. And now, if you go to another team, him being older, I just honestly like the idea of him staying there. Cleveland has one of the best offensive lines in football. Let him keep running behind that O-line and just let him keep chugging along.
I mean, also Cleveland was one of they were the Bengals a couple of years ago. Essentially, they just didn't make the Super Bowl. They lost to a really close game to the Chiefs in the playoffs. Like, they were the hyped team in the AFC. And Cleveland's on here again with a huge offensive line difference.
I just pulled up the transactions in the NFL and filtered by running back, and it's so rare that a running back gets traded in the NFL. Like, last year, it was just Mark Ingram and Sony Michel, who were both traded for. I mean, Sony was traded for a 4th and a 6th, but Mark Ingram was just a 7th. And I mean, the only ones really of note were David Johnson, that was the DeAndre Hopkins trade.
Breda during the draft got moved.
Yeah, for a 5th. Kenyon Drake got moved, but most of these guys aren't bigger name players.
Yeah, no one's paying up for a running back.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so that's to me personally, I think Cleveland was like, hey, look at all these trades for running backs that happen. Oh, there aren't any. You're kind of stuck here, bud. Suck it up.
Look at all these trades. Where are they?
What's the team playing for Kareem Hunt on a 1-year deal?
Like
a 6th?
5th, maybe.
Yeah, conditional 5th.
I think it also arises out of need more so than anything. It's that's why Sony Michel went to the Rams last year, right? Akers goes down and Henderson goes down, and all of a sudden you're looking at your running back room and you're like, well, shit, who's left? Jake Funk? Were you trying to win a Super Bowl with Jake Funk? No.
Hey, go Terps, go.
So
I always forget.
That might have been their move too. Maybe they were just like, listen, dude, just no drama. Once one of these teams loses a running back, you can go there. That might have been the conversation as well.
Could be.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think that would be huge for Nick Chubb potentially, though, if Kareem Hunt is out of there.
I honestly don't think they changed Nick Chubb's workload. I think they'd give the Kareem Hunt role to a variety of people, whether that's Demetric Felton taking the receiving,
that is true.
Whether that's Dearness Johnson taking the actual rushes. I think they would distribute Kareem Hunt's role among other guys.
Oh yeah, no, especially after they extended him. They don't.
Real quick though, projected offensive line. The top projected improvements we have: Philly, Cleveland, Detroit, Washington, the Jets, and yes, Mekhi Becton did just get hurt. He's probably out for the season. I still think that offensive line is an improvement over last year. You have a lot of young guys. You still have a guy like George Fant at one of the tackle spots.
Yes, it does still suck. I'm surprised Dallas is that high. They're not what they used to be, but I mean I get it.
Circling back to the Jets though, sorry, 1 second, Lounis. Mekhi Becton only played 1 game last year, and so who did they draft? They just drafted someone. They've shored up their offensive line regardless of Mekhi Becton. Although I did see that today, they were
and they've brought in a couple low key moves to help out, and the offensive line was good for a good. There were parts of the season last year where Fant and Becton were both hurt, and they're off their tackle spot. They had a tackle spot that was really dicey, but especially for the first half of last season and at the very end, their offensive line was pretty darn good. There was a little bit of a middle stretch. It was right around when Zach Wilson just came back off an injury, where their offensive line was just absolute dog shit. But
that's who they got. Lake and
for the
Tomlinson.
Jets, it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they signed Lake and Tomlinson for a lot of money.
The one on the list that's interesting for me is Kansas City. Kind of adding, I feel like we've all said at like different points how like we kind of like CEH this year, at least compared to what he was ranked earlier, like RB like 31. We all thought he was a bit underrated. We were doing our over-unders. If he can stay healthy and that O-line can stay intact, I think he could have a really good season. It's literally just if he can stay healthy.
Well, my question is, I'm assuming that that includes Orlando Brown in that team, right? And
yes.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That hasn't been resolved yet, right? I'm not crazy.
What do you mean?
Like Orlando Brown.
I think Orlando Brown's already priced in from the last year rank.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, isn't Orlando Brown potentially going to hold out or something? Like, they haven't.
Is he?
People don't. I don't think people expected to go into the regular season.
Yeah, because I think he still has a contract situation. Like, I think the Chiefs franchise.
Oh, no, he was at practice today. He was holding out at first.
Okay.
You're not wrong.
Okay.
He held out at first, but he just apparently came back to training camp.
Okay.
I think one of the ones that's really interesting is Washington. Because this is a team who I feel like their offense is completely trending way up. But, I mean, it's just weird to buy into any of these guys.
I'm not trusting Carson Wentz again.
The reports out of like, I mean, I think Wentz's season in the Colts kind of gets like overshit on, even though it ended like horrifically. Like if you look at just the numbers, it was like, he wasn't great, but he wasn't like when the GM was like, he cursed our franchise.
Why do you still defend this guy, Lounis? I know.
I agree with Lounis. I think this could be a really good move for the Commanders.
I'm telling. I mean, I'll be sure. His last year in Philadelphia, he was worst starting quarterback in the league. I'm saying last season, if you just pull up his numbers, it was a horrific ending, but the season overall, it wasn't like I said, amazing. Obviously, he missed the postseason, but
that's what Carson Wentz is now. He's a very meh starting quarterback, and he makes a lot of mistakes, and he just kind of just does him. He'll make some plays, and you go, that's a vintage Carson Wentz. And you go, maybe if he could do that for a full game, we'd be a really good team. But he doesn't. So, like, I was going to preface that. I can't get behind it. I want to because I like this Commanders offense with Dotson and Terry and Gibson and Brian Robinson and even like Logan Thomas is a sneaky little play
Thomas and Curtis Samuel back.
Right, and Curtis Samuel I didn't even mention. So, like, this team has a lot of offensive weapons, but I just think this is a stopgap move that we've seen the Commanders do.
I don't think it's going to be the long-term move. I'm just saying, like, by the way, the practice reports, to be fair with, I was going to mention it after the praise I gave him from the Colts season, the practice reports have not been good. Like, they're all saying, like, he's inaccurate. Can he keep it, like, above water? Like, who have Washington's QBs been past, like, 2-3 seasons?
The bar is low.
Here's the thing. If we get Carson Wentz from the Colts last year, the same exact Carson Wentz, if this offensive line chart is accurate, the Washington Commanders are just better than the Colts were last year on offense. Aside from the fact that they don't have Jonathan Taylor, they are better or equal in every single facet.
I mean, Jonathan Taylor was an MVP candidate last year, though.
Yeah, but also, yes, it's like a huge drop off running back, but I also think it's a big difference receiver wise. If you look at McLaurin, Dotson on the outside with Curtis Samuel in the slot, and Logan Thomas versus Michael Pittman and Bums.
Look at Carson Wentz's year compared to Taylor Heineke's, though, and you're going to see it's not.
Okay, pull up the numbers.
Very different. All right, in 17 games, Carson Wentz had 30. I'll round up to 3,600 yards.
Okay.
Taylor Heineke in 16 games had 3,400 yards.
Okay.
So 200 more yards. I mean, the difference is you're going to see 20 touchdowns to. Yeah, Heineke was 20 touchdowns to 15 interceptions. Wentz was 27 to 7. touchdowns.
It's a pretty big difference.
That's really it, though. I mean, QBR wise, we have Wentz is at 94.6, which is solid, and then Heineke's an 85.9. It's not that different. Like they're trending.
Frank, you're on mute if you're talking.
Oh no, sorry, no, that was.
I'm trying to pull up the stats on the pod, and there was just a chunky ass ad right in the middle of what I was trying to show. All right, so yeah, Carson Wentz's stats highlighted here. 3,500 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks, 62.4% completion percentage. Pretty decent year. I actually thought he had more yards. Let's look up
There were some games they had towards like the second half of the season where they'd win with like Wentz having like 90 passing yards and just Jonathan Taylor like 30 carries for 200 yards.
I mean, the big difference between the two is clearly just the touchdown to interception ratio.
Yeah.
7 more touchdowns with a lot less picks. 8 less picks.
I said the bar was low. Washington hasn't had a good QB since RG3's rookie year.
Yeah.
I guess.
Or even average since like Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins was okay with that.
He was average. Yeah, actually, okay is better.
He was better than Wentz last year.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that Washington could be one of these offenses that it's almost like everyone's just been like, oh, Washington sucks, Washington sucks, Washington sucks. That there could be value because everyone's just thinking this is going to be the same old Washington, when in reality, this is probably the best offense they've had in years. And I don't really think we need crazy Carson Wentz to come out here for this offense to be pretty damn good fantasy-wise. I guess really quickly, and then Baltimore was one of the other teams that had a massive increase at offensive line, apparently, which is further interesting, especially for the run game. But let's go to some of the biggest fallers. I think the biggest ones to me that were shocking was Las Vegas apparently has one of the worst offensive lines in the league. I personally have been a lot lower than consensus on a lot of these Las Vegas Raider players that aren't named Hunter Renfrow. To me, I'm buying into this. I'm going to continue selling Las Vegas Raiders players. Not that they're terribly overpriced, but I think that most of these guys are overpriced more than they're underpriced or fairly priced.
I tend to agree.
The thing that like I use my issue. I think the dip already happened with some of these guys. I mean, we had the Josh Jacobs debate earlier, and I understand where you guys are coming from. So I said maybe hold until the regular season. Devontae Adams, we saw took a dip when he got moved from Green Bay to the Raiders. We've already seen that, and I don't know what's Darren Waller at in the tight end range.
Yeah, but did he take a dip because moving from the Raiders, or was it he taking a dip because he's just a year older now?
There was definitely a noticeable one after the trade, though. It's both, but like
isn't he still a top 10 dynasty receiver?
Yeah, he's at
he
like
might be 10,
I think.
And by the way, Darren Waller's tight end 6, which I think is fair.
Yeah, and Derek Carr is at like the highest price he's ever been since that year he had where they made the playoffs before.
Derek Carr, I think, is an interesting stuff.
I'm selling Derek Carr. I'm selling Devontae Adams. If I can get the keep trade cut price and an ideal move for Waller, I'm selling him too. I just think it's a lot easier said than done. He's someone that if you have him, you're kind of forced to hold him more times than not. He's like what Josh Jacobs, what people are saying Josh Jacobs, right? Oh, you have to hold Josh Jacobs. Why are you going to sell him for that price?
Real quick, Darren Waller, tight end 6, around 4,000 value. Some of the guys right below him, literally the 3 receivers right after him: Darnell Mooney, Keenan Allen, Brandon Ayuk. If I'm a contender, I'm probably just holding Waller for the tight end advantage.
I'm much lower.
If you're a contender, would you rather have Keenan Allen?
Yeah, I know.
I'd rather have all 3 of those players.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know the tight ends.
Tight ends. It's like.
But Darren Waller is not going to get as many targets as he has. Like, it's just Devontae Adams is just such a significantly better receiver than anyone else they've had. That he's just not going to be the lead guy there, and you're going to see a dip in Darren Waller's production.
Yeah, I know. Hunter Renfrow is the alpha of this offense. There's just no way that he's going to see all the starts.
Oh, you know what? I changed my mind. Bryan Edwards is gone, so Darren Waller, the chains have finally been lifted. Dude's free to just snatch any target available because Bryan Edwards is no longer there.
Is there anyone else super noticeable?
Seattle's offensive line is apparently dog shit, but yeah, who saw that
That's
coming?
not new.
Jacksonville was a team that apparently took a big dip. I don't see how they were fringe top 10 last year though. Yeah, I don't know where these 2021 ranks are coming from sometimes, man. Buffalo taking a huge dip is very interesting though. Buffalo, the third lowest dip from offensive line last year, losing an offensive coordinator. I don't necessarily believe in it. I think that if you're like, oh, is Josh Allen going to be? I think Josh Allen is going to be productive. Stephon Diggs going to be productive. But people are acting like, and I actually still kind of agree with this, that the Bills are the 1B to the Chiefs almost, right?
I know a lot of people that are saying the Bills are the best team in football, like entering this upcoming season. There have been a lot of people saying that.
Is this potentially...
Jake, you're on mute, real quick.
Yeah, Jake, you're on mute. But is this potentially like a warning sign that, like, you know, you lose the OC, the offensive line might be a lot worse than last year? Like, is this something to be scared about?
No.
I wouldn't.
As long as Josh Allen's healthy, Stephon Diggs is there, that defense is still there.
That defense signed Von Miller. I know it's an old Von Miller, but he was still good with the Rams last year.
Their defense is they got a
they have a loaded roster. They're gonna be fine.
They got a unit on that defense. All right, let's get into. All right, this is a segment I want to do because something that I'm thinking about in some of my leagues. What QB3 to trade for and at what price? I'll start it because this is the guy I was actually thinking about trading for, and I don't know if I'm a crazy person or not. I need a sanity check on the pod. Jared Goff.
Not crazy.
Not crazy.
No,
wait, no. I need to hear the price.
Yeah, whatever I said with
the price.
Whatever I said with the Isaih Pacheco trade earlier that got you Jared Goff. Like, yeah, give me Jared Goff.
So yeah, if I'm trading my fourth-round rookie pick.
You know,
I'll pull up some Jared Goff trades.
The thing is, we saw that chart earlier where the Lions have one of the most, apparently the most improved offensive lines. We've got a Lions offense. It's actually got some weapons, right? Even without Jameson Williams, they got a good receiving core. They got multiple good running backs, good tight ends.
They're going to be loaded with what you have: Jameson, DJ Chark on the outside in the slot, Amon-Ra, then Hawkinson and Swift.
And don't forget this too. Hard Knocks drops tonight as we're recording this.
Oh,
you're about to see the Hard Knocks bump. I don't know if it's going to hit Jared Goff.
Too late.
Yeah, you might be missing out.
I wish Jameson was playing.
I can list. I'll read you guys some.
And also,
Detroit, I want to hear the trade.
Detroit on the offensive line rankings was third.
Tied for second, actually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you're right.
All right. Truthfully, we are all over the place. I'm going to try and keep it as, like, you know, we are all over the place. I'm going to keep it as basic as I can with these trades. Jared Goff these are all super flex. Jared Goff for Nico Collins, Rondale Moore. Jared Goff for James Prochet, Christian Kirk. Jared Goff for Mac Jones.
What?
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. Jared Goff for Ramondre Stevenson and a 2023 third.
It's a little cheap.
It's the Goff for Pacheco and Haskins trade that I said earlier.
Very cheap.
Goff for 2023 first.
I see. This is the problem with all these QB3s. Is that I feel like for most of these trades, except for that one Pacheco whatever trade and that other Ramondre for a third trade, a lot of these trades I'm looking at the deal, except for maybe the Rondale Moore, Nico Collins one, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I just not sure I want to give up that much.
Here's an interesting one. Goff and Wan'Dale Robinson for Aaron Rodgers.
I'm still taking A-Rod.
I'm taking Rodgers.
Goff for Jalen Tolbert in a third.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But see, this just has to be like, am I just better off trading for Marcus Mariota?
Yeah, well, Marcus Mariota was my answer.
If you
He's
want
been my
one
answer
super
for
cheap,
months.
yeah. But I think Mariota's. I think Goff has a chance to earn one more year, depending on how bad.
I was about to ask.
And again, I just don't think, Frank, you were laying it out, like, or Lounis was, somebody was. This offense is talented. They have a very good offensive line anchored by Penei Sewell. They got the weapons. They traded up for Jameson. They signed Chark. They had drafted Amon-Ra last year. They already had Hawkinson and Swift. This offense is ready to go. So, like, you just can let Goff go back to that, I think it was 2016 when he had that really, really good season with the Rams.
Yeah,
and just let him get guys the ball where they need to get the ball. Not ask him to do too much. Not ask him to move outside the pocket. Just be Goff. Be a game manager. Get the ball to Chark. Get the ball to Swift. Get the ball to Hawkinson, and this team will be good. And at that point, I just don't think they're bad enough to be in this Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud territory for next year. And that's the point. If they're not going to get one of those top quarterbacks next year, do you just say, all right, we'll run it back with Jared Goff? Because he's under contract. They have to pay this massive contract that he has, and maybe they just run it back with him.
I was going to ask you guys, how do you guys rank between these? I was like pulling up the low end QB3s between the three of Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, and Jimmy G, most likely to be and Maserati Mitch, most likely to be a starter next season.
I'm taking Wentz and Goff over the other two by like a good margin.
Yeah,
I think I'm taking Wentz over Goff, but it's close between those two. Man.
I think I'd say Goff 1, Wentz 2. Not that big of a separation between the two. And then Jimmy G. I don't know, Mitch. Like, Kenny Pickett might just not be it. And then I don't know how the Steelers fix it. But I still think I'd say Jimmy G 3, Mitch 4.
What about Ryan Tannehill in this equation?
Oh, he's
one of those QBs. He would be I didn't include him because he would be the easy number one, but I do think he's kind of starting to enter that territory where it's like, if he got replaced any year, I wouldn't be that shocked.
I think he's
pretty. I think he's just because he's led them to like the number one seed back to back years, so he is much more nothing. But if you do that, you get a little slack, especially from a team like
Jared Goff did that.
So just back to Goff, and we can honestly throw Wentz in there because I think they're essentially at the same price. Like depending on who you are, you'd prefer one or the other. What is the deal that you would try to get for him, or is it worth trading for that? Because we saw some of those deals. You kind of have to overpay, especially compared to that keep trade cut price. You have to just pay more.
You do, because I feel like a lot of people that have either one aren't necessarily
just fine
right now.
Yeah, I think if you have those guys, you're kind of just content letting him be your QB3 or QB4 even in some cases, just because you're like, well, he's a quarterback. Someone's going to need a quarterback, and then they'll overpay. Yeah. And that's why I think you see some of these trades on there that are overpays, is because people get desperate, and this is the only quarterback they can get.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jake kind of nailed it. Wentz is my QB3 in our home league. That's exactly. I'm not really looking to move him. I'm just keeping him as QB3, and then I'll wait if someone, I don't know, gets injured or whatever happens.
So is it just too expensive to go after? Is it just not worth?
It's not too expensive. But I'm saying I don't know if people are actively trying to sell them.
I think you could get it done for a hyped up rookie and a late second, early third, maybe even later third, depending on
singular draft pick. I'm trying to think for the 23 draft.
There's 2024 seconds are very commonly traded for Jared Goff that I'm looking at. There's a lot of 24
Yeah.
Like
seconds.
straight up or in a package?
Straight up.
Because something like that I would personally look to do, because I just have this guy in a lot of my leagues, and I feel like I want to cash in, is a guy like Jalen Tolbert. Cashing in on a Jalen Tolbert, maybe giving up a little bit, because like you said, even though they might be about even on keep trade cut, that dude that is content with Jared Goff as his QB3 is not going to just trade him for that price, right? He wants to have that QB3. He wants to be comfortable. So you have to give up more. Giving up Jalen Tolbert and a second for Jared Goff and a third, something like that, so that I could be in that position.
I brought it up earlier, but there was a trade that literally was Jalen Tolbert in 2024 third for Jared Goff.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd do
something along the lines of that. It's like realistic to get done. Not that it's like guaranteed to get done in every league, but it's something that it's a good enough offer to where it's in the realistic realm of being accepted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like is that a good price to invest in a Goff or a Wentz at, or is it just like, dude, just roll the dice, keep your young receiver and your little bit of draft capital, and go for someone cheaper, or keep the upside?
At the end of the day, I'd rather just go with Mariota than Goff, but I don't.
So you'd rather pay like the cheaper price and go for someone like Mariota?
Yeah, well, I would in general just rather have Mariota than Goff. Like if I had Goff, I would trade him straight
if you
up
could pick either.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I've been on the Mariota train for, I think it was like the 4th of July episode. We were talking about players that I want to get in. Mariota, I just think
either straight up I'm picking Goff, but I'm take Mariota like it would take less to get him in that sense. So Mariota plus.
I don't know how much less it really is. That's the thing I have.
That's a fair point.
I don't think it's a whole lot less. So what you're giving up Tolbert in a third for Goff? What you're gonna get? I don't think you get Mariota straight for a third anyway. Maybe it's 2/3.
Another thing that's going to drive the price too is I just saw Bean Counter shout at DF Bean Counter tweet out about Marcus Mariota today too. So I think he's probably just going to go up from here as well. But I mean, rightfully, like I just would rather have Marcus Mariota than Jared Goff. If we're being honest, I just think he's the better quarterback, at least fantasy wise.
The thing is with Mariota compared to Goff, though, is that Goff, at least the people that have him are going to have and price in the fact that there is a chance that he could be the quarterback next year. There's a chance. It's not like, oh, well, obviously the consensus take is that the Lions will probably look to get a new quarterback, but it's not guaranteed. The price with Mariota is priced as if it is nearly guaranteed that this is a 1-year stopgap for the Falcons, and Mariota is going to be on a new team or a backup quarterback next year.
Which I think it's just as likely that he's the starter next year as it is Goff. I mean, there's a Falcons team that's not that bad. Like they're not
good.
Detroit's better.
Is Detroit like significantly better than the Falcons? I don't think so.
Yeah, are they?
I'll give you that. At least
Detroit lost so many like they could have easily.
Yeah, they lost a lot of heartbreakers. I'll give you that.
They had so many games where they looked like they should have won.
But the only other thing I'll give you is the Bears look. I mean, I like Justin Fields, but they're not doing him a lot of help. So I don't know what the Bears are going to look like. But like, there's a Falcons team that beat the Saints last year. Like they beat the Dolphins. Like they're not a bad Falcons team. They literally beat the Lions last year.
That's not saying a whole lot, but.
Well, I mean, we're comparing the two teams. They beat them last year, and
but the whole thing is that the Lions improved significantly this offseason, and Swift and Hawkins have missed time.
Yeah, but the Lions have been improving for the past 20 years.
No, they have,
right?
and then I mean the Falcons got a quarterback downgrade. They don't have Matt Ryan anymore.
They don't have Calvin Ridley. I don't think Marcus Mariota's. They didn't have Calvin Ridley for most of the year last year anyway.
I was gonna say like the first maybe third of the season. No, Matt Ryan is still a decent amount better than Mariota. You say there's not much of a gap,
Dude,
between
and
them?
honestly,
He's
like,
better,
listen,
but,
I
like-
love Dan Campbell,
You don't
but
think-
I'm
you don't-
taking Fat Nicolas Cage over. Dan
Yeah,
Campbell.
Arthur Smith.
We're gonna fucking get the Declaration of Independence, baby. Let's go, Falcons! Come on.
Is that
Matt-
not crazy to anyone else? You don't
Matt
think there's
Ryan's
that big of
better.
a gap between
Matt
Ryan?
Ryan's better. He's better than Marcus Mariota. I fully agree, but like, I mean, let's not pretend like Matt Ryan last year was anything special. He had Julio running away from him 2 years ago. He had Calvin Ridley being like, I'd rather just take time away than play with you. That might be insensitive,
That's 'cause the
actually.
team
But
was ass. They're always bad.
that might be insensitive. There might be more going
I
on
don't
there.
think it's
Yeah,
Matt Ryan's
Ryan
fault.
Tannehill is cheap on keep trade cut.
Yeah, Ryan Tannehill's another guy that I would like too, but I don't think he
The
fits
problem
into the
is that
segment.
all the fucking leagues that I need a QB3, I already have Ryan Tannehill. Like, I
Yeah.
already have him. Like, I need another quarterback on top of Ryan Tannehill. Dude, these prices. I mean, the fact that Daniel Jones is higher priced than Carson Wentz, I just
That's wild.
don't fully comprehend that.
Matt Ryan had a QBR of 46.1 last year, which made him 21st in the league. Like, he's just a
That Falcon situation was a shit show.
yeah, but I mean,
We'll
This
see
is
this year
unfair,
how he is
but,
with the
like-
Colts. I think he'll have a good year this year.
I think he'll have a bounce back year, sure, but I don't think Marcus Mariota is as bad as we're like making Marcus Mariota out to be. Like, this isn't MVP prime Matt Ryan compared
It's
to.
not, but I mean, I'd be surprised if Mariota stayed the starter throughout the year.
Oh no, I think Desmond Ritter's trash. I think
see.
easily Marcus Mariota starts the whole year.
I honestly think that almost every single quarterback on keep trade cut is underpriced now that I'm looking at it.
Every single one.
There's some
Almost
that I don't wanna
every
touch.
single one.
There's some that I'd rather just give away, like a Derek Carr, or I think you might have just lost me. If you can hear me though,
We can hear
before I
you.
leave
We
and
just
come
lost.
back.
yeah.
We just lost.
If you can leave
visuals.
before I come back, yeah, I like Derek Carr, Tua. There's a couple guys that I just would rather not trade for. All right, I'll be right back. Sorry.
We'll see you.
All right. I guess the last segment. If we even want to do this, yeah, I guess it'll be quick. It's just something interesting that I was seeing over the course of the offseason almost. And that's the hype around the stat yards per route run. I actually do really like this stat because it's like a good mix of like volume and efficiency in one nice package of predictiveness for receiver production. Let me make this a little bigger. So I mean, as you see, right, a lot of the guys at the top of the yards per route run table are pretty darn good productive level players. But what I wanted to kind of pose to the crowd is some of the more value buy level players that are towards the top of the yards per route run table. So I think some of the biggest ones, or the biggest one a lot of people point to, is Kadarius Toney, where he has a 2.14 yards per route run. It was one of the highest of the rookie receivers last year. And it is a relatively predictive set. It's not like Kadarius Toney, compared to like a Cyril Grayson only has 13 targets, right? He has over 50 targets. So the argument is like, okay, he played enough to where it's not like an outlier. He played one game or like a couple of snaps, and he just happened to be targeted on the snaps he played. So Kadarius Toney is one. I think another interesting one is a guy like Dallas Goedert, at a 2.34 yards per route run when he's priced as a lower end, mid-tier kind of tight end. You can easily attain him for a first round pick. Probably get Dallas Goedert plus for a first round pick, even in tight end premium leagues. Who are the other guys that I had listed on there? There was Diontae Hardy.
Tony Pollard.
And Tony Pollard, yeah, another interesting one, right? Because you see a guy like McCaffrey up here. Do you buy into this at all with some of these more value-oriented players into the yards per route run? Or is this a bait thing to be looking at entirely? Wait, hold on, JT.
I don't
Let me
think
get
it's
you back in. Let me get you back in. Hold on.
I don't think it's
save
Bate
your take. Save
even.
your take.
Jake's still here for me.
No, it's JT. JT.
Oh, JT. I think you said Jake. What was I gonna say? No, I mean, I don't think it's Bate. I just also found it funny because it's like 3 of the guys that are on my agenda list.
All right, JT, you're in here.
Cool. But yeah, no, I mean, at least for Tony's end, I mean, I don't have to go on the spiel about him, but I always said for him, the concern's always been health. I think when he's on the field, he's insanely talented, and I think he showed that last year as a rookie, and a shit show of an offense where like no one could be productive. So I'm excited for him. Tony Pollard, so many people like have differing opinions on, but he does consistently make explosive plays. Diontae, my bad, Hardy. I haven't seen enough. He's probably the one of those names that I'm most skeptical of, obviously, but I don't know. I think it's a pretty good way to like go and try to find people, and then obviously you'll find kind of like outliers where it's like, how do you value like a Kendrick Bourne being pretty good at this? Where you kind of have to pay attention and not just kind of.
Jake, you're muted.
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, Kendrick Bourne had a pretty good season last year. He had 67 receptions for 800 yards and a couple touchdowns. He had for what Kendrick Bourne is, he had a very good season last year, and I think this is a stat that just says that, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was used in the offense as a very, wide receiver 2, basically, and I think it shows.
I'm a big fan of yards per out run.
I agree. I think it's there's some caveats to it. Obviously, you can't look at guys with under like 30 receptions.
Well, yeah, let's just cut out all the guys that have like under 40 targets.
Yeah,
because
I don't,
just dumb.
I don't like using it as much on the college level because of just like varying different level of opponents and like different situations and like drastically different teams. But on the NFL level, I think it holds some value.
I love it at college level. I mean, someone like Treylon Burks, that's why I was so high on him. I mean, he smashed yards per route run, and he's an SEC receiver. So like, it's not like he was playing against some scrub competition. He's playing in the SEC.
But JT, right? Like as a Kadarius Toney hater, does this make you any higher on Kadarius Toney, even given the other flags that you didn't like for him as a prospect?
Tony is such an enigma at this point. Like,
he's an enigma. But a good one.
Like, how much of that production came off that one game, though? That's what I want to know. It's like, how much came off that? That is true. Didn't he have like nearly 200 yards in that game?
189, yeah.
Yeah, 189. That's almost half his production came from one game. So, how much?
He's also like one of the very few games he was healthy.
That's not, but yeah, and like you were saying with his health, like we're already.
I think health is a legitimate concern, and that's why I think health is the only reason he's not being viewed as like the same as, I don't know, where do you guys have like Elijah Moore?
Oh, I think Elijah Moore is significantly better.
I think if Kadarius Toney was healthy his entire rookie year, he might, but honestly, he might be ranked higher. I think talent-wise, he can. And I love Elijah Moore.
This chart, though, looking at this chart, right? Looking at the yards per route run from last year, which is once again one of the most predictive stats of future performance, at least according to a lot of the data analytics guys on Twitter. I haven't done any of the data analytics myself, but I'll take their word for it. Some pretty smart dudes. Someone like Dallas Goedert being incredibly high, especially after what we saw last year. That's an interesting player to potentially invest in right now.
I've always liked Goedert a lot.
It's the question of, you're going to probably know how I feel about this. It's who's the second target on this Eagles offense? Is it Dallas Goedert or is it Devontae Smith?
Well, yeah, speaking of Devontae Smith, you don't have to scroll down really super far to find him. Actually, maybe here he is, 1.77, right? It's really not terrible.
It's all right. It's like average, I would say.
I do think that's a fair worry about the Eagles offense, and the reports out of camp there early is that like Jalen Hurts is pretty much targeting AJ Brown on like every other pass.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Yeah, and people have said Devontae Smith's kind of been the one with quiet training camp so far. Not so much really like anything he's done more with like drops or not being able to create separation. It's just AJ Brown is easily like kind of like the dominant number one, and Jalen Hurts just feels more comfortable with them. And that's the hard part, because it's still going to be a run heavy offense. I think they're going to pass more this season and be a better passing attack than last year. But still, like, their strength is their O-line. Why would they not, when they could easily just get 4 or 5 yards a pop, be running the ball out with Jalen Hurts, Sanders, and Gainwell? So that's kind of like the only critique. I think talent-wise, him and Devontae are awesome, but...
Well, I think one of the interesting things that I was looking at with the Eagles today is that Devontae Smith took a surprising amount of snaps out wide and not in the slot. A lot more than you would have thought. I think he lined up in terms of percentage more at the out wide, at the X or the Z than Jamar Chase did, who's someone that's like a lot of people said coming out of the draft, that prototypical X receiver, right? I think now that you have AJ Brown, kind of opens up the door to let Devontae Smith work out of the slot a lot more potentially.
I agree. No, I was about to say it's because Rager, Watkins was better at it, but Rager and Watkins can really beat it outside coverage. So Devontae had to consistently stay at least either the X or Z receiver.
And it's not like Devontae Smith got a crap like 101 targets. I guess it's nothing to really scoff at, but it's not like he was out there getting $150, right? Like 101 targets really isn't crazy. It's great for a rookie receiver, but like I feel like this could be a situation where he's at least getting that again, if not more.
I think so.
That offense is so fucking weird, man.
It's talented, but I have no idea what it's going to end up looking like. I think it'll be good, but I don't know in terms of what it ends up looking like how run heavy they go again this year. Because you're going to get Jalen Hurts is going to be better, O-line back healthy, Devontae Smith is better, and then you have the best receiver in Philadelphia now since like prime Deshaun Jackson with AJ Brown. I have no idea how the ratio is going to end up looking like.
Yeah, but can I just come out and say it? Nick Sirianni's a beta. He just is. He just is.
Why are you going to do my coach like that?
I mean, did you see him line up out of the gates last year? He's got 9 pens in his
highlighters
ear.
for days.
He's got the highlighter, 2 pens, the freaking visor. It's like, dude, you haven't wrote anything down this game. Why are you 3 pens? Get the fuck out of here. That's such a beta move. Like, in
case one of them dies.
I don't.
One of them runs out of ink.
I don't trust this offense for fantasy purposes. I do trust AJ Brown. I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen with Jalen Hurts. I think he's a good player.
Oh, Jalen Hurts, I trust for fantasy in this offense.
Given the fact that every 3 months we see that the Eagles, we wanted Deshaun Watson. We want a quarterback. Like, can you really? Can you really trust them? Are we really paying more than Trevor Lawrence for Jalen Hurts? Like,
no, what I will say for that is, I mean, Jalen Hurts clearly is not as talented as Deshaun. What did Robert Miller? Did someone
say beta?
No, but what is it? You made me lose my train of thought. Oh no, Jalen Hurts obviously isn't Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, but they did also not draft Justin Fields when he fell to them at 10. They got
so did the Panthers, right? Like, is this a good thing?
We're not excusing bad teams.
Like, they passed on Mac Jones too. Like, is that a good decision? Passing on these guys, really?
No, it's not.
Oh no, I'm happy they did.
Really?
Are you though?
See, I mean, Mac Jones is pretty good. I don't, what is Fields?
Oh yeah, like Jalen Hurts' rushing upside is just so high that like it's just phenomenal to watch.
Listen, Justin Fields, I know as talented as he is, like he still has to actually fucking, I don't know, show me something for one consistent season.
How happy are you, Lounis? You like this site?
Pretty happy.
This is what you're into, right?
Yes.
Let me just get my. You can't even fit this many pens behind your.
You need the visor, and then you tuck them into the visor. See, that's what you do.
Yeah, you realize he had to plan for this. He had to sit and take time out of his day and plan. How am I going to fit this many fucking pens on my goddamn ear. And we trust this man.
Yes.
All right, then.
Precisely.
Robert Miller. Sorry, I was teaching an unnamed QB film study this evening.
An unnamed QB film study
Yeah.
this evening.
Yes, Kyler.
He's unnamed though. We don't know who it is.
Unnamed.
All right, that was supposed to be a segment about yards per route run, and it kind of just turned into an Eagles debate and Nick
Eagles
Sirianni
hate.
being a beta. I guess you
It'll
can
be a
thank
good
Dallas
offense.
Goddard for that.
Yeah, it's just Goddard's someone I'm not going out and buying. He's not someone I'm selling.
Depends on the
Like he's a
price.
hard hold. I think. I think he's a very good quarterback.
I never thought I would receive
Mhm.
fashion tips from Lounis on this channel.
Oh no! Did you
Lounis
just
has some
listen,
good
That is the greatest comment in 3rd and 20 podcast history.
listen? If you want to pull the Sirianni off with having all those highlighters on deck, you need the visor. It's not going to happen without it.
Innovation.
I don't know what to do with these Eagles players, man. The Eagles
The
are
two players I'm confident gonna have good fantasy seasons. Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown.
and
like, in
apparently
terms of
Miles
very
Sanders, 'cause
good.
you have him in every fucking league.
Oh no, I think Miles Sanders is gonna completely outplay his ranking. I'm saying good in terms of like I think Jalen Hurts finishes top 5, top 6 fantasy quarterback, and I think AJ Brown. I have to look at the rankings for receivers, but I think you look at me like I'm crazy. Didn't he finish at QB4 last year?
I was nodding along for a second, and then I heard top 5, top 6. I mean, what?
No, finish. Not that he's a top 5, top 6 dynasty QB.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how much of that came from like garbage time points for Jalen Hurts? Like, and no, he was quarterback 9.
I think it may have been points per game.
Maybe, but like right off the bat, I'd rather have. I think Patrick Mahomes will outproduce him, Josh Allen, Kyler. Just right off the bat, those 3. Herbert, Lamar, who's my MVP
I'll take
pick.
Dak.
Dak, Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Russ, definitely, yeah. We're at 7. If you're asking me Trey Lance versus Jalen Hurts,
I'm gonna take
don't
Trey
know.
Lance.
Yeah,
probably.
probably.
I know.
Trey
I'll take
Lance.
Trey Lance in dynasty, but to higher finish next season, I'll probably take Jalen Hurts.
Matt Ryan. I'll take
Matt Ryan.
Yeah,
You got some
Baker
nerve,
Mayfield. We had to talk
Baker.
about him.
I didn't say him. And Robert Miller came in chat, and I really wanted to say that Baker Mayfield already has put Sam Darnold on the bench after like 10 practices, but I didn't. I didn't say it.
PJ Walker put Sam Darnold on the bench.
Yeah, but
last
someone was saying, someone in our 3rd and 22nd league was saying, oh, if Baker's a recycling can and Sam Darnold's
Oh, that's a whole
garbage,
different
they're
thing.
the
That's
same
a whole. That's a
You
whole.
know,
No, I think you're
Yeah.
getting him confused with John
Oh, that's
Smith.
John Smith. Yeah, sorry, Robert Miller. Where's John Smith? I'm looking for
Dude,
you,
you're
John
just
Smith.
throwing shade at my guy Robert Miller
Yeah,
for
sorry,
no
Robert
reason.
Not straight
I
for
need
no
John
reason.
Smith in here. Get me John Smith.
Get me John Smith.
He's hiding. He's hiding because Sam Darnold's just extra trash.
All right, well, anyone else have any other takes on yards per route run, the Eagles, Nick Sirianni's visor strategy?
Yes.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, there's John Smith.
That's great.
At the end.
John Smith.
Baker sucks. The end.
Like,
Nope,
busy,
I'm not gonna
like,
do it.
letting
I'm
this
not
like play in the background, and he's like, "Oh, hold on,
This podcast could go.
I gotta get in the chat."
You go. I forget what show it is. Maybe Parks and Rec, where they do like a filibuster. Like, I think it's like Patton Oswalt does like a filibuster for like 30 minutes on like Star Wars or something. Like, you guys can all leave, and I might just rant about Baker for an hour if you want to just.
We should
wanna
do that
end the
for next week's
podcast.
pod.
Just keep the stream going.
Yeah,
just,
just like
you all just dip, and I'm just here.
We'll do like a quick 30 minutes, just like any big news, and then we'll give you the next hour just to talk about
The
Baker.
Baker talk.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'm going to have a clown that starts off really small, and every minute just increases little by little until the end of the hour, it's covering the entire stream.
I think it'd be so funny if I could somehow get like Baker onto this channel and just be like,
That'd
"Hey
be the
guys,
greatest
brought
interview.
someone to like back me up here," and it's just
That'd be
Baker.
the greatest interview. I remember we wanted to get Trey Lance when he was in college.
Yeah, big Trey Lance pod.
We should have gone after it harder.
We've not had any guests. We had Lucas on a couple times, but that doesn't really count.
Yeah. Also, we got to bring Lucas back.
Where's the pick? Oh, here's one, but it's not all three. I remember week 1 last year, Nick Sirianni had all. He did. To his credit, he did tone it down after like week 1. He didn't go as.
It was the first couple weeks he did it. It was like through like week 4, he was doing it, and then like they were just getting clowned, and then he stopped, and then second half of the season they were actually like good.
Yeah, he did fall into peer pressure a little bit with the.
You see, I told you, the visor.
Yeah, you're right about that. Still such a beta move. It's just like he just wanted to be like a Belichick, you know. He just wanted to so badly.
He's better.
And he does the dumb shit with the freaking rock paper scissors for the combine. Goes, oh yeah, we do rock paper scissors to test their competitiveness.
Yeah.
Fuck you. No, that's just horse shit.
Listen. All I'm saying is fucking Devontae Smith and Landon Dickerson must be amazing at rock paper scissors. Because you love those first 2 picks.
The Eagles have a good football team. That's the problem. Is that if the Eagles are good, your guys are gonna come back and clown me. Oh yeah, well you thought Nick Sirianni stunk, whatever. It's like, dude, the expectation, this team should win the division. If we're being completely honest, they got a fucking roster.
It's pretty
NFC beast.
No, I mean, just historically, it's going to happen because the Cowboys won last year, and then the Vegas odds, it's pretty much even between Dallas and Philly, and the winner can't win twice in a row. It's just
you have Jordan Davis. You have arguably the most unfair player.
Did you see that video of him?
Year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, just dominating.
Yes.
This guy is insane.
Apparently,
This guy is insane.
Apparently, Sirianni grew up a Steelers fan, so makes sense. All the Steelers fans, just losers.
Yeah, that's how a Steelers fan would look like as a coach.
Yeah. All right, Frank. Anything else you want to say?
Listen, if any Nick Sirianni's family ends up watching this, I do apologize. I got a little carried away.
I always defend you.
But tell Nick Sirianni to cut out the dumb shit. You only need one pen. One pen gets it done.
Hey, Nick,
Or
I
at
was
least
watching
put
the
it in
3rd
your
and 20
fucking
podcast.
pocket. Attach it to the clipboard. You know, you can do this. This is an option, right? All these pens that you stuck to the damn visor, you can have on your writing thing like this. This is honestly more convenient. It's right there.
No, you gotta.
Like, we all know you're doing it
gotta,
on the thing for looks. You're doing it because you think you look cool, and you look like a fucking beta. You do.
Listen, man. Some
How did we
genius
get
coaches
here?
have sleeveless
Highlighters.
hoodies, and some have 10 highlighters. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, we do rock, paper, scissors at the combine. Fuck you. That's so dumb.
That's all I hate there.
It works.
If I was a player, I'd be like, this is a joke. This tests my competitiveness. No, it doesn't.
Sirianni is nailed 2 out of 2 drafts. You hate the rock paper scissors. More teams need to do it.
I wonder how much say Sirianni has.
That's a good question. I mean, Rose doesn't know that shit, but whatever.
That's gonna do it for me
I
here.
think we're done.
Season 3, episode 2. Thank you, everyone. Preseason Thursday, Patriots Giants, and some other game happening.
Peace out, everyone. We love you. Hit that like and subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow with some Dynasty stock market. Yeah, thank you guys all for tuning in. John Smith, Robert Miller, Skull Dynasty, Joel Isley, the boys in chat. We love you guys. Peace out.
Thank
Have
you,
a good
everyone.
one.